Oh,
The Chinese
Yeah,
restaurant.
the old Chinese restaurant. Yeah.
So they're all up there. I usually don't drink, so after 2 or 3 drinks, they said, let's go up and sing.
Karaoke up there.
Karaoke, yeah.
It was totally something simple. It was totally something simple.
Oh well, next time
Next
now
time
you
I
know.
go to the
It was
DA's
a
office,
volume
Bill
control.
O'Malley says, hey, what are you trying to corrupt me?
All right. Oh, I need a break. Okay. What's the date today? The 7th?
Yes.
Okay, it's about 10 minutes past 7. On Wednesday, May 7th, we're opening the meeting of the Finance Committee. We have a quorum, though we are also waiting for Barbara, who is running a little bit late, and I think Sean Tyler will be here. I haven't heard that he's not, so he's probably just running late, too. Stephanie will not be here. She's excused. So tonight, as we've been doing for most of the last couple weeks or so, we are going to be talking in preparation for the special town meeting and the annual town meeting scheduled to take place on June 10th at 7 o'clock at the high school. So we're going to get some more into that, and we have members of the town finance team here as well. Of course, I left my thing in there, but that's okay. All right, so before, you know what, I have to, here it is. Oh, here comes Barbara. Okay, before we start with either the warrant or any budget discussion, I did want to address something that happened in our last meeting. In our last meeting, we had a vote of a number of items for interdepartment transfers of funds. Basically what those were, hi Barbara, those were funding in the existing budget 2012, it was funding line items, you know, in a budget of somewhere around 40 million or so. You do your best to estimate things, but as you get close to the end of the year, sometimes you have to move money from one budget item to another, as a general statement. One of the items that we voted upon, the motion was to vote in favor of this transfer. The vote came down with 6 people here, which is a quorum. The vote came down to 3 to pass the motion to approve that transfer, 2 against, and 1 abstain. Last week, we interpreted that as the abstain would be considered a vote no, and we interpreted that to mean that that motion failed, didn't pass. Reviewing the bylaws with regard to what defines a majority vote, the majority vote in our bylaws is considered a majority vote of those present and voting. An abstention is considered a non-vote, not a vote at all. So with the 5 people as the quorum and the vote of those who were present and voting, it turns out that it's a 3-2 vote. That is a vote in favor or a vote passing that article, that motion, that transfer of funds. So I just wanted to clear that up. We interpreted that to be a vote to not pass that item, and in fact, it was a vote to pass that item. Is there any questions, you guys, about that? Okay, so as such, it is a valid vote. There was a quorum. It's a vote to pass. So at some point, I'm going to ask whoever may have a copy of that, a new copy of that transfer of funds, and we'll sign that. But I just wanted to let you guys know. I just wanted to correct our interpretation from last week, and make sure you guys are all okay with that. Yes? Okay. All right, good. Thank you. So at some point, I will grab that, and we'll take care of that tonight. I forwarded you guys that information, didn't I, on an email? Did I?
Yep.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure you all had it. Okay, good. All right, thank you. So moving along, last week we left our meeting with giving some direction or working with the town finance team. Leo Provost, the interim town manager, and also the Board of Selectmen were in attendance here, and also the superintendent of schools was here. So we left that meeting with the idea that the town and the schools were going to go back and approach 3 different scenarios to work out the budget deficit that we have for 2014, the difference between expenditures and what we anticipate as far as revenue goes. We're going to talk briefly about that tonight too, and I'm going to invite these guys up, but we're also going to touch base on the warrant, because we've got a lot to do in the next 3 weeks. So whoever wants, Leo, you and or anyone who wants to come up, or do you want, then you're all welcome to come up. let me just move this stuff out of the way. These are copies of the special town meeting warrant, the annual town meeting warrant, and I think that's the special. Is this more of the special? More of the same?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. One of them might be our, oh, you know what? I think our meeting minutes might be somewhere in here. Anyway, whatever, we'll get to it. Oh, all right, thank you, thank you. Can I just change, no, I'm just gonna get out the 0 and put in the amount, right? Because the vote was taken that day, there were still 6 people in attendance. I'm just gonna initial that scratch out that I did there. Okay, you guys are, all right, thank you very much. Okay, guys, welcome. Thank you guys very much for coming tonight. Let me just, we had a discussion earlier, but I just want, so with regard to the 3 scenarios, I know that was a lot of work to send you guys back, asking a lot of the department heads to come together with information as to how those 3 scenarios would be, what their impact would be, the impact statement, if you will, about those 3 scenarios. Can you give me an update on how things are in regard to that?
As we were asked, we did go back and...
Oops, I'm gonna have to, can we smoosh one of these? Thanks.
Thursday morning, I went back to the office and I took the same information that we reviewed with you, the large spreadsheet, that had the detailed amounts for those 3 scenarios. And I shot that off to all the department heads with the request that they come back to us with specifics of what they would actually need to cut under each of those scenarios. And that was on Thursday, so I gave them till Monday or Tuesday to try to get information back to us, and it started to come in. Some of the larger departments needed a little bit more time. And as of today, I believe we have information back from all of the departments. We met for several hours on that, and we started going through it, and it's amazing just how much time it does take. Because we did have to contact some of the department heads. We actually had a couple of them come down and see us on it and talked about a couple different scenarios and things of that nature. So we expect to be right back at that again tomorrow. We did discontinue, we broke for lunch and then we came back and we started going through the other elements of the warrant because we thought that that's what you might perhaps want to talk about tonight. Because we just weren't yet in a position to have all of the information on the budget from the department heads assembled into something that you could interpret. So our plan is to try to address that with you tomorrow. And so we spent the rest of the afternoon going through the warrant, and that was enlightening as well, because there's some things in here that I think we all feel needs to be written slightly differently, and there's several questions with many of these other articles in my humble opinion. And,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
and we can go through that with you tonight. We're prepared to do that.
I mean, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that if that's what you guys are prepared to, that's okay with me too. I mean, we're gonna be meeting again tomorrow, and then, you know, I think we've got probably 2 more weeks. So this, obviously, you guys can speak up too, but my thought is the sooner we can get to that, you know, the better for everybody. But obviously Article 3, the budget is the biggest part of, but we do have a lot of other things to do. Are you guys, I mean, if that's what you guys are prepared to do, I'm good with going through the warrant. You guys good with that? All right.
I mean,
So,
we will clearly have information for you tomorrow on Article 3. We will have most, if not all, of the information assembled. You know, we still might have 1 or 2 departments with some open questions, but I think we'll have plenty of detail to go through.
that's fine. Do you get the sense that, and they're absolutely welcome to come, department heads will want to come?
I think some might come tomorrow anyways.
Yeah, okay.
You might even have some selectmen here listening in,
Okay,
because we are out of sync. You folks hear it first, and then they hear it second,
yeah.
because of the timing and the scheduling of the meetings. But,
Well, because for tomorrow, I think I have the same agenda posted, so,
yes.
I mean, it's all about the budget, but if I knew someone was gonna come, if I knew a department head was gonna come in, I would
Yeah.
probably wanna get them on the agenda, you know, if they're really, I mean, they can speak, I
Well,
think, anyway, but, you know, it
I
would be
know the
great.
library director is coming, and I
Okay.
believe the fire chief is coming,
Okay,
for sure.
all right.
Sometimes in the interest of time, it is helpful to have them here, because if you're going over the scenarios and
Yeah.
because it's their department and maybe you
Right.
don't,
Right.
know what the answer is to a question, so instead of having to wait
Oh,
till the
yeah.
next meeting to get our question answered, sometimes we can move a little quicker.
I would absolutely throw it out to them. Many of them that would like to come, they're welcome
Yes.
too. I would like to believe that having the budget on the agenda covers every,
I would
covers the
think
fact
so.
that
I mean, the
anyone's-
department heads,
so,
it is
yeah.
their department
that's-
that we're talking about.
It's in the budget, so. yeah.
Sure is.
We can send out an email in the morning too to department heads, just letting them know that
They're
you're
welcome.
welcome, and- yeah.
And just that it can be helpful,
Yeah.
it can be
Yeah.
really helpful, instead of putting it off until, if we have a question for the library,
Right,
to wait until next Tuesday.
right.
But I promise you, we still have a great deal of work to do tomorrow just to get this assembled for you.
Yeah.
All right, well, then we will, okay, then let's move into the warrant then. And I'm not sure if I have this is the most recent copy? I'm gonna
Yes.
Get rid of any copies that I have otherwise. The junk that I have brought. Thank you. This is fine. All right, and there's also a special town meeting. Do we want to cover that quick, or is that, let me ask this question. On the special town meeting warrant, there's only one article. Do we think that that is the only article that will be on there? No, there'll be more coming?
We believe that a few more have to be added.
Okay. The one article that's on here, is that finalized? As far as like the amount and
I
the?
think it's,
yeah.
yes, it should be final.
Okay. When do you think that we will have a final, those additional items for this special town?
Well, there's a selectmen's meeting on Monday. We need to bring it to them first, I do believe.
To
Okay.
open the warrant again.
Yes.
To add them.
So we would be meeting Monday and explaining to them what we believe needs to be added to the special. And I think there might be one or two even added to the annual.
Okay. All right, that's just good, just from a timing perspective. So the selectmen will be seeing some things on Monday, and then we're meeting at least next Wednesday, if not after that too. All right, so just real quick, right now, the special town meeting warrant has one article on it. The amount requesting transfer of funds of $56,522. And to go to the waste collections expense line item, and it's coming from a number of different places. Some veterans aid, some IT salaries, town clerk salaries, tax title, visiting nurse, Board of Health training, telephone, and printing. So we don't have to vote on it unless, we don't have to,
Got a question.
yeah, go ahead.
When you're done.
No, I was just gonna say, so that's currently what we have. We don't have to vote on it, I just don't know if any of you guys have any questions. Yeah, Barbara, go ahead.
That's for this year.
Yes.
This
Yes.
budget, it's just transfers, we
Yes.
are overexpended in that line item, and need to move money to pay that bill.
And they didn't qualify for the intermunicipal transfers, that's why it's in an article. Because it was more than the 3% from the budget they were taking it from.
Okay.
So this was the leftover that couldn't be addressed the other way.
Makes sense.
This
Thank
takes care of all of it, care of all of it.
Thank you, that's a good point. Okay, all right, any questions on that one? And again, we're not doing any voting on it, we're just talking about it at this point. Okay, I think I might have to close this window.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we had it open today.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful, but the
generator's loud.
right there. Okay. What? Is it the what?
Oh,
Whatever it is, we don't.
AC unit.
It's
Oh,
still
okay,
loud, even
oh, I
if-
don't wanna say that, but, okay.
We may have a
Oh,
generator, we
yeah,
applied for
that's
one
okay.
through a grant.
All right, not
Maybe
generated,
coming.
it's some very loud noise.
Yeah.
Loud fan of some sort.
Thank you, Chad. Some very loud fan. Thank you for the attempt. All right, thank you. All right. All right, so now I'm going to give it out to you guys for the annual town meeting warrant. Yeah, I know this isn't the final version, but for Monday, it looks like 1/0/10. It's the 10th of June.
Mhm.
But it just looks kind of little.
It does, it made it small.
That's just the text of that. Okay, so Article 1, which is usually, and is on here, where we talk about voting, which has already happened.
Right.
So I don't know that we have to touch base on that. The voting has already happened on Saturday, April 27th. So let's move on to Article 2. If you guys want to. Article 2 is normally the classification and salary plan effective July 1st, 2013. I mean, does anyone, can anyone, would anyone be willing to give us what the interpretation of Article 2
Well, Article 2.
A is?
Article 2, we're thinking about removing most of Article 2A because there are no increases that are being requested for these people who are under the personnel bylaws. No increases at this time anyways. So we were going to talk with legal and see if that even needs to be in here.
Yeah.
If not, we were going to be removing it. It is perhaps true that Schedule B might need to be in there. I don't know. It's not changing from what was approved and voted in the previous year. So we are going to seek our legal counsel's opinion on what we need to put in there. Article 2B is typically an article that the town clerk would put in because they're not covered under any of these bylaws. And I'm not sure, was this in fact submitted by the clerk?
It was.
Or is it just put in here because
Nope,
it's standard?
it was submitted by the clerk
Okay.
a while ago, so we're gonna check with her again to make sure that's still her intent, based on the recent events.
And is that, so that is a change?
A
Well,
3% increase
Okay.
over FY13.
Yeah, the town clerk being the only elected official is the only person that would be on
Goes in.
2B, and it is completely governed by their desire and wishes.
So let me ask, the current rate of salary on there, is that, you will recall that we raised that last year?
Yes,
Yes, we
Um,
did.
On town meeting floor?
exactly.
Yes.
That's the one that was
Annual.
raised that way, so this would have been, if this moves forward, this would be an increase upon that.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
And Article 3 is what we were going to delay until tomorrow, basically.
Now we're holding off on 3, okay.
That brings us over to Article 4, which is basically your revolving funds.
Yes. Now, what's listed in here, to see if the total town department fiscal year beginning, it would be 2014, right? No, it's
Beginning.
13, which is
That date's okay.
FY 2014.
Yes.
It'd be fiscal year 2014, which starts July 1st, 2013. Do you know, just to mention the revolving account, so these are revolving accounts that already exist
Yes.
in the town.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the name of, it's got the revolving fund, who's authorized to spend it, revenue source, the use of funds, and FY14 limit. First question that I would have, are there any new revolving accounts in this?
No, there are no
List.
new ones.
That, all existing?
Are there any amounts that have changed?
Yes. Yep.
You want, could someone tell us which ones have been changed?
Mhm.
I believe it's just the school.
Actually, the
police
police
ones
chief,
have gone down.
it
Okay, 'cause
went
that
from
used to be
50,
50,
went from
right.
50 to 30.
Okay.
So
Because-
it's currently at 50,
Yep,
and this proposal is to bring it to
30.
30.
Okay.
because we looked at what was collected in FY12 and 13, and that brings it more into balance.
Okay, has the police chief been notified?
Yes. Yeah, he's fine with it.
He's fine with that?
Yep.
Okay.
And the line below
Mm-hmm,
went from 5,000 to 1,000,
yep.
and the chief knows about that.
Okay. It was 5,000
Mm-hmm.
to 1,000. Chief knows. Thank you.
The school amount is now 250. That increased from
150.
150. And that was at the request of the school, so they're the ones that asked for that additional money.
And just so anyone who's hearing this knows, what we're talking about is a school department revolving account, the purpose of which, it's tuition collection from the preschool and the full-day kindergarten for people that pay for the use of that. And the money collected for that goes towards defraying the cost of running the preschool and the full-day kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I know we could ask, so it would, if they're asking that to go up, they're anticipating
Greater
collecting
enrollment.
greater than the 150,000.
Yeah, they already have.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, that's, just so people don't think that we're
Right, there's
increasing.
a reason for it. Keep
It's
it-
money that's collected and then used to offset the cost of what it's being collected for.
Right.
Okay.
Then the planning board
Mhm.
number was reduced, was that
From
50,000?
60,
It was 60?
yep.
Planning board, it was 60, and it's going to 35,000.
I believe that the former town manager reduced that based on the activity that
Mhm.
that was viewed in the account.
Right.
Has that been communicated to Liz?
Not yet. We
Okay.
did it late this afternoon.
Okay.
And that is, it's for review fees paid to the Abington Planning Board, paying costs related to engineering and supervision of proposed subdivision and site plan within town. And again, it's basically changing their ability to collect up to 60,000 to up to 35,000.
Right,
And you said it's going to be addressed with the planning board soon?
right. Because their fees they're receiving are around 32, 33.
So it's more in line with what
Exactly.
they're actually collecting.
Exactly.
Okay? Any other changes?
Just the COA was 25.
Was it?
Yep, down to 20.
Okay, Council on Aging has one, it's going from 25 to 20,000.
Mhm.
Fees received from the leasing and renting of the senior center for maintenance and operation of the senior center. So it's going from 25 to 20,000. Is that more in line with what they've been collecting over a period
Exactly.
of time?
Exactly.
And do they know too?
Not yet. We just did this late today.
Okay. Just-
Yeah.
Well, we didn't do it. John did it.
John did it,
but
yeah,
we
they
just
hadn't been
reviewed it
notified.
for
We
the
just-
first time.
Oh,
Right.
so these were things that the former town manager had
John
Had-
didn't
had-
notify them, so we're
We're notifying
as
them
we
now.
go along.
got understood. Okay, good. Any other ones changing? No, building department stays as is? Okay. Okay, good, all right. Any questions, you guys, about that? So we're not adding any, we're not removing any
Right.
from that list? Okay. All right, Article 5,
That is the
Chapter
standard
90.
article for the Chapter 90 money
okay.
that the state will give us.
You guys have any questions on that? It's basically it's basically allowing us to accept chapter 90 funds when they're provided by the state. Okay? Article 6,
That is a buyback for a retired firefighter who retired this year.
and that is the 15,567 sick leave buyback
Sick leave buyback.
within it's contractual, I would imagine, as
Yes.
well.
Correct.
Yes. Article 7 is the same thing, just a different firefighter.
Thank you.
Article 8 is basically the same thing, but for a police officer.
I probably have a question to ask, which I'll ask it now. These amounts that that are in here proposed to be paid through this, do we have the money already worked into the budget for these?
Yes.
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 Yes, okay,
It's in the articles.
okay.
Yeah.
When we look at, basically, like, when
If
we
you
look
have
at.
that big sheet, it's
Yes,
in
I have
the,
it.
It's
it's
in
the
there.
top number. All of the money articles in here are
Our-
covered by that top number up there.
Great,
So it's factored in. Did I point to
It's
the right
actually,
place?
no, it's actually this one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
See here where it says warrants.
Warrant articles?
yeah, I just want, I remember there being something up there, I just wanted to make sure that was in there. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
That was a great question.
Something we need to know.
Articles 9 through 13, I understand will be removed. That there were no further actions or agreements on any of those, so it would not be brought forward at this town meeting.
So when we say, do we have the ability to remove them fully so that Article 8 will go right to Article 9, which is now 14? Or do we have to leave
Yes.
them on there and not?
No way.
No,
Action.
yeah, we don't have to leave them, no, we don't have to leave them on there. Actually, Monday night, when we present it to the
Okay.
board, we're gonna do a couple of revisions.
Clean it up
And
and
that will
we'll
be
remove
part of
those.
cleaning it up.
Okay.
And it was just put in as a placeholder.
Okay. So they won't even show on the finalized version?
Exactly.
Thank you.
Article 14 is the money that's needed for the transportation for out-of-district students. It's always been handled in an article of this nature.
Yeah, that's students who go to school outside of this district. Transportation is, I think, by Massachusetts law.
Yes.
It comes and
Yes.
it's paid by the town.
Yep.
Mhm.
Norfolk
That's right.
Aggie is your most prevalent school that comes into, under this line.
Okay. Is that the only one, or does that also South Shore VOTAC and, or?
No, South Shore,
South
Tech is in the
is-
district.
Oh, all right, that's right.
Mm.
Okay. I think there might be another one or two, but there, yeah, you're right, Norfolk Aggie is, right. Cool, thank you. All right. Any questions on 14? And the amount of that is set, right, 14,000?
Mhm.
Okay.
I have one question.
Right on.
Is that something the school department transferred over to us? They were talking about some stuff with Norfolk Aggie.
No.
it's been on the warrant as a separate article for as many years as I can remember. How it historically got there as opposed to, say, being covered under the school, I don't have that history.
No, there was some talk with the previous town manager, the school department wanted them to take that.
The entire
Oh.
Norfolk Aggie bill
Right.
out, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But there's
Which
been
it-
no change to that as far as,
No, not
Well,
a,
we
they-
actually kind of took it out, the Norfolk Aggie.
not this,
But nothing to do with this article. This is just the
Right.
transportation.
Right. Okay.
okay, but aside from that, is that something else we'll talk about at some point, but?
no, it gets paid for by the school still. We took it out for purposes of determining percentages of.
Exactly.
For
Exactly.
allocating the deficit,
Right.
Okay.
which I
Right.
think is a
Which we'll-
different thing.
Yeah,
Probably get into tomorrow, but.
right.
Yeah.
But, okay. I can understand that. But with regard to Article 14, as you guys just had a discussion, the out-of-district student transportation has consistently or historically been handled in an article like this.
Right.
Sure.
It's only because it's an unfunded mandate, and the school department wants the townspeople to know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
the state's mandating them to do this, and because of school choice, your kid can go to school anywhere, and we
Right.
have to pick up the cost of transportation.
Thank you. That's an excellent point, because people may ask that question. So the state mandates that this happen, that the towns pay for that out-of-district transportation and doesn't fund it.
Right.
So we
Right.
still have to come up with the money because it's the law. But thank you, Sue, for bringing that up. We're good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, Article 15.
Article 15, we believe, needs to be rewritten to clarify what's really happening here. And that is that at a previous town meeting, the fire chief submitted an article which was approved to be able to mount an antenna on the building that would be used for our connection over to Holbrook, to the new call center there.
Yes, I recall that.
The antenna, it was determined that it couldn't be mounted on the building, and therefore the article needs to be revamped such that what he really now needs to do is to build a supporting platform out in the back of the fire station, for which he will then mount an antenna that I believe was given to us by Holbrook.
It was.
I think
He
I
came
remember
before.
John
Yeah.
talking,
Yeah, he told us
John
about
talking
this.
to us, John,
Yes.
John,
former
not,
town manager,
John, no.
actually
Well,
talking
he
to
Yeah.
us about.
because it was
I
going to
remember
be on
asking
top
if
of the
it was-
building, and then it turns out that that's not going to do it, so they would have to put it behind the building.
Because I remember asking if it was a single,
Yeah, or a tower
it's
kind
a
of.
single rod type antenna.
Mm-hmm. Right.
At the time, the answer was yes.
So we
Is that
need,
still-
we need to get this article
Be-
modified a little bit, I think, to kind of rescind the purpose that they already allocated money for in the previous meeting, and to reallocate an amount of money necessary to build this support platform for an antenna.
How much was already voted and appropriated for? Was it 9?
Well, it's like 25 maybe.
Okay. We can check it, but,
So he still needs that money.
yes,
And
yes,
he
yes.
needs the 18 in addition, because it's not just the antenna now, and putting it on a top of the building, he needs to build something
Support structure and all
additional.
that. Okay. So we're thinking that sometime between now and Monday, it's gonna be rewritten and given to the Board of Selectmen, and then we'll have to re-review that.
Mhm.
Yes.
Question on that. I don't know if I can ask the chief or if someone can relay to him. When I was my run on Sunday, I looked at the police station as I was running by, and this was beautiful antenna behind it. Has there been any consideration of using technology to get the signal there? And thanks you, should that be used?
What's that, an antenna at the
Police
police station?
Yeah, the police station antenna.
I wouldn't have any idea.
We asked that question,
Yeah.
and he said, no, it wouldn't be in the right place.
So just wouldn't reach over.
It has to be behind the firehouse. You can
Something
have
about
all their,
height, right?
yeah.
Doesn't have to
It
do
needs
with,
a certain amount, a certain height in a certain direction, and that's why he's putting this one up.
So they've looked at using the police station one?
They've looked into that,
Okay.
and they've looked into further down on Route 18, so it wouldn't work.
Thank you.
I know that you guys aren't the ones to answer that question. Maybe it's a good thing that, would it be the chief that's coming tomorrow, did someone mention?
I believe
I
fire
believe he
chief
is.
Fire chief? Because, I mean, we'd also want to, I think we would probably want to ask the question too, is there any concern about neighbors or, you know, zoning or anything like that, so.
He didn't have any problems with zoning. And we were asking about that. Zoning or conservation shouldn't be a problem.
Right.
But he doesn't know the answer to that.
Okay. I just don't know what has to happen before
that
you
is a
pull-
neighborhood right there.
Before you build something like that, so I'm sure he knows, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hope he does.
Okay, so that's gonna be amended in some way, we believe, okay? Okay, Article 16.
This is similar to, I believe, an article that's been on the warrant for the last 2 years. This was the issue where the town of Rockland actually covered the health insurance benefits for the
That's right.
Abington Rockland Joint Waterworks people, and now they want their money back.
Right, this is maybe 2 years ago or so, we found, it was determined that the town of Rockland had paid the town of Abington's portion
Right.
Yes.
of.
Well, I think they paid for
or
all of
Paid for all of it.
the joint waterworks.
Oh, okay. And so now
Yeah,
Abington has to pay their share sort of back.
Right.
right.
Do we know, is the 109,000 that's in here? I think we're gonna break it up into 5 payments or
Yeah,
something?
I did check.
Have we done 2 or 3?
I did look through that after I found out it
Did
was,
you?
yeah, beginning in fiscal 2006, ending in fiscal 2010. This particular one is for 2008, so after this, we'll have 2 more years.
This is like 3 or
Third
5 or
payment.
something?
Yep.
I'm just going off of memory, which may not be
Yep,
100%
no, that's right. Yep, it's 2 years ago, yep.
Okay. And that money comes, hold on, to see if the town will transfer from water conservation account, we would probably want to ask whether the money, there's 109,000 in there.
So didn't you check on that on the,
They're taking it from their retained earnings.
from their retained earnings?
And there is money there.
Okay. Yes?
What's the retained earnings?
It's like the general fund's free cash. I don't know why they don't have the same name, but they don't.
We can, does the committee feel that we need to bring anyone from the water commissioners in? Or are we comfortable that if they say they have the money, we know it's due. I mean, this is not a new story for us.
I was just gonna say, or, I think I might be the liaison. I can check that, if that alleviates anything from you guys, I know you're.
That would
You
be
know,
fine with
the
us.
the
Money
funds are
there.
there.
The funds are there. Whether there's a comfort level that this isn't gonna happen again. I mean, there was discussions about bringing in a third party like accountant, auditor or something. I don't know what has come of that, though. They probably have answered that question before. I just don't remember it. But do you want to just take a
Just
quick
check
reach
and
out
see
to
that
them and
they're
just say we
all
talked
set
about?
with that
I mean, you
and
guys
it
can
was
do it in
discussed.
conjunction, whatever. I don't want to take anything away from you, but I don't think they need to, personally, I don't think they need to come in. We know that it's due. I imagine that's the right amount of money, and I imagine if they said they have the money, they have it. But just sort of just,
I'll
you know,
just tell them that it was discussed at our meeting, and if they have anything to comment on about it, or just to make them aware that we had,
Okay.
working
This
on
is
it.
coming out of water revenue?
It's coming out of the water conservation retained earnings, which is, yes, out of the, is it out of?
It's like free cash for the enterprise fund.
Like the sewer,
Okay.
similar to the sewer.
And is that in, I know in the budget, at the end of the budget, we usually have the enterprise accounts, that's already taken?
No, it's not part of the budget, it's like a separate warrant article.
Okay, it's a separate warrant article, but it
But
comes,
we'll have to.
the funding is in their enterprise account somewhere, but we don't tie that into the budget anywhere? Okay. Is that,
It's almost like at going to fall town meeting when you're taking your free cash where it's not in a budget anywhere. You just have a
Okay.
number from DOR that says you can use this money.
okay,
So the DOR certifies that they can use this money and then they can spend it.
okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any further questions on Article 16? Okay, Article 17.
I think this is one that we need to do a little bit more research on.
Yeah,
You have
Sue
it?
Sue did
Oh,
some.
good.
So basically, this article is just allowing us under 30B to go from going into contract for a 3-year contract to a 20-year contract. And it negates the town meeting by saying you must have appropriation. It takes away the liability, you know, so I want to talk to Sharon about it. I don't know that it's the best way to go. So you're going to sign a contract with a waste collection company for 20 years.
Which you're locked into.
And you're locked into, and it's not pending appropriation.
Anyone have any idea what the upside is?
The
it like
upside
a crazy
is
cost
that
savings?
There's this thing that says, it's called put or pay, where you apparently might be passing through legislation that you say an X amount of tonnage is what they'll collect, and we have to provide, or we have to pay it.
Yeah.
Whereas right now, we're only paying for the tonnage that we have. So you can put this wording in there that you're not gonna use the put or pay. We're just paying for the tonnage that they take away, regardless of, so if you say 100 tons a week, and we only come in at 50, we still have to pay for the 100 tons. This helps you so that you can say you don't wanna do it, but I think you can put that on a regular contract anyway. You know, and.
When you go out to bid.
Right, and to do I mean, again, like I said, I'll talk to Sharon, but to do a 20-year contract, if you're not happy with your service, you're stuck in a contract for 20 years.
Have the Board of Selectmen made any recommendation on that article?
They haven't made any recommendations yet on any of the articles.
Yeah.
They just
But
set
even
the
prior,
warrant.
like, this wasn't, this
It
is
was,
something.
it was supported by the town manager.
Yeah.
So, it got on the warrant that way.
Okay.
And we're just kind of investigating it at this
Okay.
point. It was sent out to all municipalities to be able to adopt this, so that's why it went on, in case it was something we wanted to do.
You know if there's a time frame for having adopted it? I mean, is this the only opportunity we have? Or if we
No,
decided
it's
that we
under-
didn't have
It's
enough?
under 30B, so basically, it's the law that you can do this.
So it can be done at any time?
But you can only do it for solid, for waste.
Yes, okay.
You can't do it for any other
Right.
municipal contracts.
But if we were not able to research this solidly enough to determine whether we wanted to do it,
Oh,
You
I
can
see
do
what you're
it.
saying.
we
can
could,
do
we
it
could
next
push
meeting
this
or
off
whatever.
and do it at a later date.
Does anyone know where we are in our 3-year contract with them?
This is the first year of a 3-year contract.
So 2014 will be the second year, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I think, yeah, I'd be interested to see what you guys come up with some more research on that. Guys, any questions or anything? Just look forward to your update on that. Thank you. Article 18, you guys, I just have to leave a second, one of my kids is texting me, so
Sure.
you guys can continue, whoever wants to run this. John's not here, so.
To see if the Article 18, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $39,000 for development of mapping of the town's stormwater outfall pipes and related work to bring the town into compliance with the stormwater outfall mapping regulatory requirements of the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, Phase 2, Small Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, MS4, general permit, and to take any other action relative thereto. It just says to appropriate, so that's not coming from,
No, that's part of.
part of the
this
articles.
Top number that says articles.
This is basically a requirement of the DEP, and it brings us into compliance.
didn't we have to do it by a certain date?
I think
We're
we're
already
past the
behind.
deadline.
Passed,
Yeah.
It's a mandatory, not a suggestion,
Mandatory.
and we're past compliance date.
That's right.
Anybody
And we're
have
not the only ones. It's one of those things that the
That- yeah, they
municipalities put
just
off. So they absolutely have to.
Have to do it.
Yeah.
We absolutely have to.
Well, we're already behind, so this is part of a lot of steps to bring us into full compliance. So this,
Pushed it off another year.
no,
No.
you couldn't push it off. We're already past that part, that point. We're already a couple of years, we're already a couple of years over that.
Anybody else?
Nope.
Article 19, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $725,000 for development of a comprehensive water resources management plan, which will be the town's master plan to proactively plan for, fund, and implement necessary future treatment capacity, sewer system, capital improvements, operations and maintenance, management, practice enhancements, and/or administrative practices related to the town's wastewater collection system and stormwater management system, and to determine whether this appropriation shall be raised by borrowing from the Massachusetts Water Pollution Abatement Trust or otherwise, and to take any other action relative thereto. So we can borrow money from a trust?
Well, I have a couple questions with this article that need to be worked out. Number one is whether they have already signed up with the MWPAT to be a partner in the next funding, to be able to borrow such money. I know that from the Water Department, who does an awful lot of MWPAT borrowing, their engineers actually complete requests to be a participant in a borrowing. They have to be accepted. So first question is, has the sewer department done that, and are they actually going to be, have they been given permission to borrow money from the MWPAT? If they haven't, and if this project has to be done right away, then it would have to be borrowing out on the street. Second question is, what is the funding for this? Is this coming out of sewer? That's going to have to be looked at.
And it's 725, is that
That's a lot of money.
done, well, is 725 done with our split? The current split that we have with?
Well, I don't think we have a current split. It is true that...
Oh, I'm thinking water, sorry.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
thinking
not even
water.
water. I think you were correct with sewer, in that for the infrastructure of the pipes that were laid in all of our phases, there was an agreement back then to cover 75% of that debt through a debt exclusion and 25% through the sewer revenue, or sewer betterments that they collected. I don't know that that's an ongoing agreement for anything in the future, so I think this would have to actually be talked through and determined as to exactly how this would be funded.
So it sounds like someone needs to talk to him. You guys can talk to him.
Yes.
Anyone have questions?
Oh, I don't, Bob.
Okay. So you'll get back to us on that.
Yeah, we're going to have to do some further... These were discussions that we did have with the previous town manager, but I'm not sure
Right.
that they went anywhere,
Okay.
because the next one's going to be something similar. This is a borrowing article, and this is some initial money needed to cap the landfill up on Groveland Street.
Additional money?
Well, it's the first wave of money, that they're asking for, but there is a great deal of additional money necessary to complete the capping. And this gets into the same thing. This article doesn't specify how we're going to pay for that, and I don't think we should be adding this to our levy. I think it needs to be a debt exclusion.
Yeah.
And although there is no firm number right now as to how much it will cost to cap the dump, we think that the outside number is over $4 million, closer to $4,272,000 if they have to go the most expensive route. So this is something that I'm going to bring up on Monday with the Board of Selectmen, because I don't understand why we would go the route of a debt exclusion for $175,000, which requires a ballot vote, and not go for the much larger number to do it just one time, even though you wouldn't necessarily be spending that larger number if we could do it more economically. So this needs to be talked through some more in my view.
And I just want to be clear that we actually started funding this in fiscal year 2011, but this portion, the 175, is reflective of the FY14 that they
Portion
worked up,
of-
the
the way
portion
the
of it that
schedule
they
that
worked
they-
up, and exactly. And like Leo says, the question was, why wouldn't we go out for the 4 million or a lesser amount rather than going out for the 175 and then going out again? We
Right.
talked about today, and people thinking, I already paid for the landfill. But the big part of that is depending upon which way the town goes, whether we decide to accept impacted soils, and that could be $1.5 million swing. And we're not at that point, so the recommendation from the company that's overseeing this is saying, why don't you just go out for the 175 we know you need, see which way the town wants to go, and then go for the rest. But we don't necessarily, as a team, agree with that thinking, and like Leo says, we're gonna think about it more and bring it up to the board on Monday and determine, like Leo said today, you go out for the worst-case scenario. It doesn't mean you have to borrow that much. You can borrow less. So I think it's a big decision.
Do you know how the other funds were paid for? The
At
amount
town
that we
meeting.
did?
They were warrant articles.
Warrant
so
articles at
that
town
was
They were.
meeting.
money.
Yep.
Okay.
Ever since.
So we didn't borrow anything, obviously. I
No.
know we didn't borrow.
They
but-
were small
So they
amounts.
must have been smaller.
Yeah, like, 197,000, 167,000, 51,000.
When they were getting started and doing.
Yeah, we're all phased out, all the way up to the $4 million eventuality of each fiscal year, how to make, a town be able to do this. I mean, that's a huge thing for the town to cap a landfill.
Yeah.
So-
See, we just can't continue to borrow and expect that the money's going to come out of our levy.
Right.
Right now, with the two borrowings that have been approved and the projects that are starting, which is the Memorial Arch and the Groveland Street land purchase, those were projects that are hitting our levy. That's hitting our levy to the tune of about $93,000 a year. So that's squashed everything else, and this could do the same for another $30,000 a year, and I just don't know that that's the right way to go. But if we're going to have to go through the extent of all that's involved in doing a debt exclusion, I'd like to think we could get that done once for the whole amount.
And then use what you need
Right.
as you need it.
Right, rather than keep going out. I think that's just, it's more palatable to the taxpayers to go out once, we think.
Right.
Well, there's an expense involved holding a ballot. There's expense involved in actually going through all of the legalities of getting these loans approved, and for such a small amount of money, I'd like to try to do it once.
So would
both
the-
of those need some discussion.
I'm sorry, I came in late on this. So would the discussion be to maybe remove this for now, or make it the 4 million? for now?
Well, that discussion,
That has to-
we would have with the Board of Selectmen to see
Monday
what
night.
their pleasure is.
Does this also need to be, does this need to be done at a town meeting like what we're having?
It
in
does not
June?
need to be an annual town meeting.
Okay, so
It could be any town
it
meeting.
could be revisited in the fall?
It could be.
I'm not saying I'm not saying that's the right thing to, I just.
Yeah, but it's
Well, I don't know,
discouraged,
but
it's
we'll-
encouraged that we do it at the annual, because once again, we're up against a time frame, a time schedule.
Okay.
So it's.
The activity of getting taxpayers to approve a borrowing could be done at any meeting.
Correct.
I overlooked, you have a kind of a
A-
need to to get this money to begin a project.
Before the fall. If we wait till the fall, we start to get on the bad list,
Okay.
and we don't want to raise any red flags, so that's the reason for the spring.
I was thinking with a new town manager coming in June, you know,
The day-
since the question is really like, how do we, as a town, do we want to handle capping the dump? Do we want the 4 million up front? Do we want to do it piecemeal or whatever?
Well, let me just
I
clarify.
missed some of that, I'm sorry.
Getting authorization to borrow 4 million doesn't mean we borrow all the money.
Yes,
It just
that's-
means we have full authorization
To
to
do
go,
so.
to borrow up to that point. And if it was, it would have to be done as a debt exclusion, and so that would solve everything in one swoop.
And one vote.
Clearly, we wouldn't borrow all that money until we needed it.
So we need the town to authorize going to vote for it. I'm sorry, I'm
Well,
coming
yes,
in
the
at
town
end.
would authorize borrowing for the purpose, but it should really be done as a debt exclusion,
And the debt
usually
exclusion is
that's
what
part of the
requires the vote.
language and part of the motion.
That's right.
Now, only the selectmen can then decide to hold a ballot vote to fund something as a debt exclusion.
Right.
But if that was shown that that's the people's preference on town floor, more than likely, they would then approve having a ballot vote, which would be a townwide vote on this matter to determine if that is the way we could borrow the money and add to the tax base to complete
Yes.
the project.
It's the two-step process.
Mhm.
Thank you. I'm sorry, you probably even went over that, and I came in at
That's
the last
okay.
minute.
No, actually, I didn't.
Thanks. Okay, so from what I just gathered coming back, 20 is going to be reviewed further, and also 19?
Yes, we do need to bring both of those to the proper people.
Okay. So we're on to 21 now?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, to see if the town will vote to amend the permit to dump, Town Bylaws, Chapter 2. Yard. Okay, a butters list. Yeah, this is pretty big. Either one. Okay, so the Board of Selectmen brought this forward. Basically, they're amending the permit to dump Town Bylaws as follows, and it goes into, no person shall dump or allow to be dumped any fill material on any premise in the town of Abington in excess of 100 yards without first filing an application for a permit from the Board of Selectmen. The term fill material shall include debris, refuse, sand, gravel, other types of earth, other material of any kind. The application shall include the following: the butters list, certified by, a plot plan. It goes on and on and on. So basically, they're amending the permit to dump such that you can't use fill material in excess of 100 yards without first having an application. You want to give more detail? or-
If you would.
Okay, this,
Yeah,
this
give
is
us a-
actually amending a bylaw that was amended in April in 2012, and it was always to seek approval for 100 yards of fill, but it was a Board of Selectmen vote. There was never a permit process in place. This is to amend that further, to have there be a permit necessary, a notification to abutters, and a beginning and an end date of a year, so that it just really shores up the whole permit to dump. So the 100 yards had always been in place, but it had never really been a tight bylaw.
Can I just ask, her, so say someone was going to level their backyard, is
Mhm.
this something that would apply to that?
Exactly. Yes, they need over 100 if they need over 100 yards, they would come and request a permit from the Board of Selectmen, do the proper butter notification, and then there would be an expiration date of a year on that.
And is this something that you think was geared towards like a homeowner or a business or?
Both.
Both?
Yep.
I just didn't know if it came
Yep.
up because of
So
the, there was
anyone
an
who's going to
issue
bring in more
or-
than 100 yards of fill would have to notify the abutters, get an
Correct.
application, do certain things to make sure that everybody
Yes,
would know what was going on.
exactly.
And how would they know that they needed to do that?
It'll change the bylaws. How would they know? I mean, if they,
Like say someone owns a home in Abington
Yeah.
and they are gonna landscape their yard and they need to bring fill in to, That's not typically something you have to get a permit for, right?
Well, you always have in the past, well, you needed a vote of the Board of Selectmen, not a paper permit, but they would come before the board would take a vote and give them the permission to do that.
So it doesn't fall under the planning board, it doesn't fall under building inspector, it doesn't fall under...
Right, it's amending our town bylaws.
Okay.
100 yards isn't a weekend project. Right. This is serious.
It is,
Okay.
yep.
That's what I meant, like, so it's not like,
The pickup truck's gonna hold it.
It's like,
it's not somebody putting in sand
it's
to
like,
level off a pool.
It's like at least
It's-
5 tractor trailers full.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right, that, I understand that a little bit
I
better.
think those are 20 yards each or something.
Yeah, this is serious.
Okay, because I'm looking at it like, boy, that seems like overkill if you were gonna like flatten out your
It's not the
garden with,
weekend
you
guy
know.
putting it
Yeah.
back.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Jen.
And that was brought by the Board of Selectmen
yes.
to add that application part to something that was already amended in 2012.
Yes, I think it was the town manager and the Board of Selectmen.
Okay. And, okay. You guys have any questions about that? Okay. Article 22, see if the town residents will vote to demand that cable subscriber franchise PEG grant fees derived from licensee contracts be directed into a trust or enterprise account maintained by the town accountant, and that unused grant funds assumed to date by the Access Corporation be transferred back to the town by the close of business, and there's a date on here that's already passed, April 30th, 2013. And now this is by petition. I don't know if you guys have, I mean, I can say that we are going to get into this a little further at a future meeting. The petitioner has been here before, and we will invite the petitioner or petitioners to come in again. There was discussion about the license agreements and all that stuff, and so I'm not gonna ask you guys to comment on that unless you want to. But I think we've got a plan in place at least to talk to both the petitioner and find out, because again, this has now got a back date on it and all this stuff. So anyway, to make a long story short, we'll get back to that. Okay, you guys? I'm gonna, we'll have more information as to when we're gonna speak about that in more detail. Okay. Article 23, to see if the town of Abington will vote on the following resolution declaring the month of May as American Wetlands Month, or take any other action relative thereto. Again, this is a petition article. We would normally ask the petitioners to come in. I think somewhere in my notes I have who the petitioner was. Do you guys have any new information on this one?
No new information.
No, the resolution isn't inserted, though. That has to
Right, I'm
be
gonna
placed
insert
in
the
there.
resolution, it's
Can I
brief.
just ask a
What do you mean?
question?
Yeah. I'm sorry, can I just,
See
what do you
how-
mean about-
Okay.
the following resolution,
Right,
Well,
and then
that's-
there's nothing.
That's the article that they submitted, or take any other action relative thereto. In a petitioned article, you cannot change.
Yeah.
But in reading it, it occurred to me today, which is the following resolution, and there was an attached
Oh,
resolution, so.
there was one?
Yeah,
Oh, all
after
right.
the article, so I'll insert the resolution. It's a paragraph.
Okay. I know when we addressed this once before, a question came up about whether or not the town of Abington can declare the month of May anything. But I don't know, but I'm sure the resolution to follow may,
That
Yeah,
was
it's
that
great.
was actually my question.
Oh, sorry.
If the town of Abington could say that it could declare it American wetlands, like
yeah, I don't know.
all of you know.
That
Can
was
the
Jim-
town of
Jim
Abington
Dombrowski?
declare it
Yeah.
American, or could it just declare it Abington Wetlands Month?
Okay, we
But
can
maybe
we
the-
can
like you
invite
said, the resolution
Jim
maybe.
in and get some more details on that too. And again, we're in May, but by the time we get to the meeting, it will be June, but there will be another May at some point. So we'll get back to that, right? Okay, so it was Jim, okay. I'll follow up on that too. Article 24, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds $10,000 to enter into an agreement with Old Colony Planning Council for updating 2006 open space plan. Project to involve updating demographic and environmental data and inventory of present and prospective town open space and recreation holdings, considering Abington goals, objectives, revising the 7-year action plan in conjunction with the Conservation Commission and interested citizens, submitted by the Board of Selectmen. You guys have any details on that? They're asking for $10,000 to enter into an agreement with Old Colony Planning Council to update open space plan.
Yes, that is, and actually, it's funded in the articles, and that it is a contract that the prior town manager had signed and sent back to update the 2006 open space plan.
So there has been a signed contract with this Old Colony Planning Board to do what it says in here.
Which is a
and-
good idea,
yeah.
since our open space plan is 2006.
Okay. And the $10,000 is already in that use of, that funds,
Yes.
that 120,000 or whatever it is.
I
Okay.
assume that contract is subject to appropriation.
That's, that
Yes.
was gonna be my
Yes.
question. If
It
the
was a li-
contract, why are we asking if it's contractual?
Subject upon appropriation.
Subject upon-
Yes, it was just an agreement signed by both parties,
So if we
by
don't appropriate the money.
OCPC and the town manager, town of Abington. Yeah, if we don't
If
appropriate
we
the money.
didn't do that.
Right.
Then you can't. Okay.
Yeah,
And-
I have it right here, actually. Yeah. Signed in October of 2012.
Signed by the,
OCPC, the executive director?
and the prior town manager?
Yes.
Or, and not, the Board of Selectmen doesn't sign those
No.
things? Okay. Yeah?
What does it do?
It update, well, actually, it helps a lot in grants if you have an up-to-date open space plan, and ours is 2006. It's always helpful to have an up-to-date master plan, open space plan. These are the things that they look at and that can hurt you or help you. So it's very worthwhile. So OCPC is offering to help us with this, do this, because it's, we don't have a town planner, and it's quite extensive to do that.
So is it a current list of all open space?
Mhm.
And what that's being used for, or could be, like, is that, are there more
Yeah.
details than just, here's our plan?
Yeah, it's very detailed, it's very complex. And when we had a town planner here a while ago, he worked on that and put that together, and since then, it's outdated. So it would behoove us to do, I mean,
Does it take an inventory of the open space?
yep.
Is it, do we know if there's been a huge addition of open space?
Since 2006, I imagine it's changed, don't know, but it would be,
I wouldn't imagine open space could become additional
open
Right.
space,
I
but
think
some
we'd
open
have
space
less
could
open space,
yeah, could have
potentially.
diminished.
I guess unless the town were to
Knockdowns.
pick up some property that wasn't, purchase property, or, like, we purchased the property on Groveland, would that be considered additional open space in '06? I don't know.
Right.
I'm
Is
throwing
open
something out
space
there if we
only
were.
town-owned property when they do such a plan?
I believe it's even state-owned, like parks and things like
Okay, but
that.
it's
I
not-
believe
it's
a
not
reflection of
private-owned.
everything. No.
Okay. Then adding to the town's open space.
Doesn't add to
could-
actual
Well,
open
could
space,
potentially
okay.
be tax title properties that we've taken over,
Yes,
open land type stuff.
something that was no longer considered privately owned.
Yeah, now owned by the town, so I guess that would add to open space.
Okay. Any other questions about 24? Nope. Okay, Article 25, to see if the town meeting will vote to amend the zoning bylaw and the zoning map as follows. To see if the town will vote to amend Article 2 of Chapter 175 of the bylaws of the town of Abington by adding the following definitions.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Before you read all of
Okay,
this.
yeah.
I believe the intent is that this is another item going to be talked to on Monday night with the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
We think this is going to come off, and a new verbiage and article would be inserted. They've changed something to do with the marijuana, delayed something on it.
Correct.
Okay, so this is probably going to be changed.
This,
Yes.
yeah, withdrawn completely. This was a placeholder to actually change the zoning to allow this to happen, but since then, a moratorium has been available, and now the planning board is gonna submit a new article, which actually is saying, we wanna place a moratorium, give us a year to figure this thing out, where do we wanna put these types of establishments and that, so it's a totally different article completely, regarding the same topic.
Quick question, do we need to put these types of establishments anywhere at all?
The
state
law
law.
allows it, but does not require it, is that the
That's what
question?
I'm wondering. Just because the law allows it, state law allows it, doesn't mean that, that you
Zoning
you
board
have to
has
bring it
to.
into your town.
I'm wondering if
So-
it's similar to a planning board setting up an industrial area or something of that nature.
Yeah, exactly, Leo. What it does say is that the State Department of Public Health is required to issue regulations regarding implementation of the zoning. So it's required to zone for it, should it ever come into town. So that's what the zoning board the planning board was attempting to do, and then we got a temporary moratorium was available, so they said, well, forget that, let's do this.
Okay.
But that's
Makes
it,
sense.
so you have to be prepared for it, so they don't want it in your backyard. so to
Some
speak.
people might.
Well, maybe Leo's backyard.
Depends on who you are.
Not
Sereno's
my
backyard.
backyard.
Okay, so we'll
For your
see,
neighbors.
we'll see more to come on whatever
All
the,
the fields at Griffin's Dairy.
there you go.
I think it's already there.
All right, so that is the town warrant for the annual town meeting.
And there may be one additional article.
You think there might be one additional article, from a petitioner or from,
Want to take this?
Yeah, sure.
It's actually from the Abington Cultural Council. They submitted an article after the warrant closed. So since we're changing the marijuana article, we're going to ask the Board of Selectmen to see if they want to include that. We funded it last year for them. It's matching grants.
oh, yeah.
In the amount of $4,540. Although we only funded half of that, right?
Right, we only funded
half. So that will be a question for the board Monday night, whether they want to add that to the warrant or not. Because it did came in after the warrant was closed.
And as things stand right now, whatever amount that is, it is not currently in the existing
No.
budget estimates. Okay. But it was funded last year, you said at about 2,000
Right? Yeah.
for this year, 2013.
Mm-hmm, correct.
All right, that's that.
Some loud crickets.
Peepers.
I was wondering if they were those cicadas that were
No, those are tree frogs.
loud.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys have any questions about warrant or procedures or where we go from here? Anything like that? Nope. Okay, so just to recap, so tomorrow, we have a meeting scheduled for 7 o'clock. I don't think we'll go over these anymore, but we'll
Right.
get into some more detail of the budget. Now, the things that we had last week, no, I know, I don't know if I have it in front of me still, I don't know. It was the big, it was this here. And then it was the scenarios here. Are we gonna have, depending on what we have to talk about tomorrow, are we gonna have more than just like the one line item for the town?
We're going to have the column, 3 columns,
Yep,
with the amount that each department has to accumulate.
okay.
Or reduce budget.
Okay.
And then we hope to have 3 more columns identifying the impacts to those departments
okay.
and how they would achieve that goal.
And when they come with like how they will achieve it, at what level, will we know that, well, we're gonna cut 5,000 out of salary, or we're gonna cut 5,000 out of?
Yeah, it would identify salary or expenses. It would identify whether they have to cut full people, things of that nature.
Okay, I just wanted to get a sense of how detailed, I mean, as we said before, we don't want names, we don't, we don't
Yes,
want anything like
absolutely.
that. I know, like you said, in a small department,
Yes.
but, and I'm hopeful that there won't be a lot of people cut, like,
We want to try to avoid
perfect world, I'd like to
unemployment.
avoid, I think we all would, but we'll see what comes up
Okay.
next. You guys have any questions about what to expect for tomorrow? All right. Thank you guys very much.
Thank
for coming
you.
tonight. Thank you. See you guys
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Thank you. Okay, let's see. All right, okay, just a quick round of, can everybody be here tomorrow?
I might not.
You might not. Tomorrow's Wednesday, right? Okay. Yep, okay. I believe Stephanie will still not be here tomorrow. She's got something all week, so. Deb, we have some meeting minutes to approve? Okay. April 3rd. April 3rd was, before, I'm trying to think back so far. I think it was the last meeting before, I think the last meeting before the special town meeting was supposed to happen. No, we may or may not have had one, the 10th or the 17th. It was supposed to be April 1st. That got pushed, that had been postponed till the special town meeting of the 22nd. These are the meeting of the 3rd. Did we meet the 10th and the 17th? I can't remember.
We met the 10th.
We met the 10th?
I believe Barbara will have those.
I think we met the 10th. I don't think
Right.
we met the 17th. Okay. All right, so at this meeting, Chad, you were not here, Cindy, you were not here, and Sean Tyler was not here, which leaves 1, 2, 3, Tom Cook 4. I think those who were here, I think we can all still, the majority of these.
Same thing
Okay,
about us.
so what we had done at this time was we reviewed the special town meeting warrant. Budget estimates. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes of April 3rd.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes of April 3rd.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, we're good. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Deb. All right, so back to okay, so we have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow, 7 o'clock in this room. And that's next thing on the agenda. Anything else anyone wants to bring up? Any liaison reports? Yes?
Just, if anyone noticed the new signs going up, at the Route 58 and, Birch Street intersection, that crazy, up by North School, the crazy intersection there. The highway superintendent had applied a year ago for a grant for, it's for intersections that are stopped by, controlled by stop signs. And that particular intersection is one of the, I forget what the number, top 30 or, horrible intersections in the state. And so we received the grant. So there's new signs and the lines painted and up there at that intersection.
And done by a grant?
That was done by a grant.
Excellent.
Nice.
Well, good job, Highway Department. Thank you very much. It's funny that you brought up, is it the North School or Center School? I had seen somebody asking a question about the
Fencing.
well, with fencing, and I think it was a question about the swing set or something. Do you know anything about that?
I guess when you take the fencing down,
You can't have a-
have the playground. So they had to remove that, the
Swing set?
equipment because of removing the fence.
Why did they
believe-
remove, does anyone know why they removed fence?
I'm not sure. I think
Anybody?
that might have been, I'm not sure if that was.
I mean, it's
the-
not a school anymore, but
Right, I'm not sure, who,
who determines
who
that? who made
determines that.
Okay. I don't know, I just happened to see somebody asking a question about it.
I mean, I don't know if they didn't need it. It wasn't
I don't know if it's
required to be
insurance,
fenced anymore, right? And where,
I don't
you still would need to keep up with it so it doesn't look like an eyesore and is older. It could be something like that.
Probably more of a question for the school committee than us, but just since we're just talking about town stuff, so. All right, well, thank you for that report. Any other, Chad, any liaison reports down here? Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn? Anyone?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Thank you. All those in favor? All right, thank you, guys. Thanks very much. Let me just go shut this off.